but I just think there's some basic facts that we need to lay out before we can really develop a strong opinion or a strong idea about what's going on with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. But first, let me kind of try to illustrate that for you by going to some of the responses that we are hearing right now as a result of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. So first, I turn you to the collection of the smartest among us, the elites, the sports world. And of course, the WNBA was very quick to come out and voice their concern with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And again, I'm going to use these just as an example for kind of the national conversation that we seem to be having in some places. So here's what the WNBA said. Quote, "This decision shows a branch of government that is so out of touch with the country and any sense of human dignity." Now, out of touch with the country? Again, I'm going to get to that in just a moment, but I have to go to the last part of that, human dignity. Well, this is what pro-lifers have been arguing from the very beginning. So it's very ironic that they use the word that we are out of touch with human dignity, because that's what we think the abortion stance is. Out of touch with human dignity because you may say my body, my choice, but the body in your body isn't your body because that's a human. You can use whatever euphemistic language you would like by calling that baby in your womb a fetus, or you can even call it a clump of cells if you want, but it doesn't change the scientific reality that that's a human being. You leave that thing alone for a little while and guess what happens? You give birth to a beautiful bouncing baby boy or girl. Yes, those are the only two options, by the way. So the reality is that human dignity would demand that we might actually care about the human involved in this situation in the womb. But it didn't stop the sports world from yet commenting again, because now we have Megan Rapinoe, whatever her name is, the U.S. women's soccer player, say this. Quote, "We know that this will disproportionately affect poor women, black women, brown women, immigrants, women in abusive relationships, women who have been raped." I just have to stop there real quick. So women in abusive relationships are just supposed to kill their babies because their boyfriend or husband was abusive? Let's just go on, right? Because it gets better. Women and girls who have been raped by family members, or who, what maybe just didn't make the best choice. And so here we have at the very end of that comment, the obvious and most honest thing she could say, which is that the vast majority of abortions, to the tune of about 98% of abortions in America, simply happen not because of life of mother or because of rape and incest. But, and by the way, the new one of abusive husband, like that's a new one to me. Needless to say, 98% of abortions happen simply for the sake of convenience, because you're not ready, because you don't feel financially stable, because you stumble into a Planned Parenthood and they sell you an abortion rather than selling you an adoption or any other option that you might truly have to choose from among the panoply of options that you could choose outside of terminating the life of a child. But I want to go back to what she said, because this is always the virtue signaling thing you always hear from the left. You hear about the marginalized, the poor black women, brown women, and just associating them with poor people, I think, is kind of like a really subtle elitist comment, by the way. But nonetheless, the one thing I would have to say is if you truly care about black and brown bodies, black and brown people, then you might think about the black and brown babies in the womb, because right after all, you let them come into the world and there's more of them to impact and make a difference in the world. And right now, you can look at these statistics yourself, but a third of all abortions that take place in the United States are from black and brown people. So that means a third of all babies that are being aborted are black and brown, among a segment of the population that only makes up 13% of the American population. So again, 13% of the population is black or brown, but yet they make up a disproportionately large amount of the abortions that take place every single year. In fact, Planned Parenthood has strategically placed abortion clinics right in those specifically brown and black neighborhoods, not to care for them, but to carry out the genocidal cause of making sure that there are not brown and black babies that come into the world and proliferate in the world. So again, I would just say this. If you really care about black and brown babies, you might think about taking a pro-life stance, which would ultimately protect the mother and protect the child. But let's venture a little deeper into the recesses of the leftist mind, and let's go into the music world, because we have Billy Joe of Green Day saying that he's going to renounce his citizenship and move to the UK. Now, this is mind-blowing to me, because based upon the songs and the singing of Billy Joel, I thought he was from the UK. In fact, when Green Day first came out in the 90s, I remember there being some conversation about the way in which he sings and how it sounds British. Anyway, you'll have to kind of research that on Google a little bit and fact check there. But nonetheless, he's going to renounce his citizenship and move to the UK. We will miss you deeply. Has Green Day actually done anything like in the last 20 years? Now, this is total ignorance because I actually don't care, but I'm sincerely asking. Maybe you can comment down below and you can tell me, but I'm painfully unaware, maybe not painfully, but totally unaware of the fact that they were even singing still. But then we have somebody who still is in the game. We have Pink, and she came out and she said this. Let's be clear. If you believe the government belongs in a woman's uterus, which, by the way, that sounds extremely painful. The government cannot fit in a woman's uterus. She goes on to say, a gay person's business, but of course, I guess we're supposed to mess with cake businesses, but we're not supposed to be in a gay person's business, or that racism is okay. Now, all right, I know I had to stop really quick in the midst of all of that stuff, but she said, being in a gay person's business, being in a woman's uterus, and being racist. So all three of those things are just a hodgepodge. A weird assortment of things to put together, but certainly, if you're those three things, this is what Pink wants you to know. And please, in the name of your Lord, not her Lord, your Lord, never effing listen to my music again, and also F right off. As far as I'm concerned, challenge accepted, and I definitely didn't in the first place and won't. But I do know one song, so Pretty Pretty Please. Don't you ever feel like you're less than perfect. Pretty Pretty Please. If you ever feel like you're nothing, you're perfect if you agree with me. That's the ideal, right? You have to agree with Pink or you have no business listening to my music. This is kind of a side note, but this is the problem that I have with positive affirmation, just saying all kind things and never actually being willing to be honest about the things that may not necessarily seem kind, and only telling people what they want to hear rather than telling people the truth, is you really don't mean it. Let's just be honest one with another, and let's be clear about what we think. You don't think people are perfect regardless of the way that they think, and you're not accepting of all viewpoints. Nobody is, because you know why? You shouldn't be. Because she did mention a viewpoint there that you should actually be totally against, which is racism. So you shouldn't be acknowledging the perfection of the person who believes white people are superior to black people, or black people are superior to white people, or anything else. That's not a view that is perfect in any English dictionary that you can think of. So let's forget the positive mental attitude stuff and push that to one side, and let's just be honest and be truthful. But I think that does belie what I'm trying to get at here. We're starting to become a culture where the truth is not relevant, where we only have my opinion and your opinion, which, by the way, is just another way of saying my truth and your truth. Wherever you hear that, you can rest assured you're hearing postmodern idiocracy, and you can just turn it off. So these comments that you just heard belie an incredible ignorance about Roe v. Wade too, and what the Supreme Court just did when they overturned Roe v. Wade. Winston Churchill said this. He said that the truth is so precious that it is often protected by a bodyguard of lies, that to actually get to the truth, you're going to have to push through all of the mess and all the lies to finally get there. You can catch brand new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Huberman every Monday, and weekly bonus episodes to keep you thinking throughout the week. But you have to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video and share it with friends.